Hi, John. You good?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to PS 310, the School of Future Leaders. Thank you for Principal Hong for. Right now, we're going to stand in regards to the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we please face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We're going to call to order for roll call.
我们现在开始唱名。
It's not going to do it.
Sorry, I'll do it.
Okay.
We'll just
Do it.
okay. We're going to be taking roll call. John Riccatone.
Here.
Elizabeth Chan.
Here.
Wenming Chen.
Here.
Na Lin.
Here.
Mei Feng Chen.
Yeah.
Okay. Stephen Mahoney. I did see it.
Yeah.
Fabiola. Fabiola.
She's here.
Just
She's
saw-
here.
yeah, I saw it, right? Samara Stern.
Here.
Kelly Clancy.
Here.
Alina Lewis.
Here.
Kevin Zhao.
Yeah.
And Ken Lee.
Thank you.
Is Ken Lee not here?
He's not.
So we have 11 present and 1 absent.
Do I do the interpretation?
Yep.
So tonight we have interpretation in Arabic, Mandarin, and Spanish. You should see these interpreters' names in the participant list, and they will post that information in the chat. They will now share directions for anyone who needs interpretation for the meeting. Could our Arabic interpreter please introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon. This is announcement in the Arabic language. Good afternoon. مساء الخير عليكم. للمواصلة والاشتراك في هذه الجلسة اليوم الرجاء الاتصال على رقم 347 966 4114 ثم يتبع ذلك رقم المدخل وهو 684 006 024 ويتبع ذلك برقم الشباك. Arabic announcement has concluded. The Arabic interpreter just want to confirm that no one has checked first. Usually before any meeting, there is someone that check the availability of all the interpreters and check the all lines are working before starting the meeting. No one has done that yet.
Okay. Could our Mandarin interpreter please introduce yourself?
大家晚上好。如果在线上有需要中文普通话翻译的，请拨打347-966-4114。打完之后，请拨打 ID 号码618-616-518，井号键。我再重复一次，347-966-4114。之后打 ID 号码618-616-518，井号键。请在线上的人员能够把你的麦克风关掉，这样才不会影响其他在线上的听众。谢谢。Mandarin announcement is completed.
Could our Spanish interpreter please introduce yourself?
Buenas tardes, Cristian Gilbert, intérprete en español. Para escuchar esta conferencia en español puede marcar el número de teléfono 347-966-4114 con el ID 833-563-028, seguido de la tecla numeral. Mil gracias, Spanish interpreter done.
Thank you. As a reminder to speakers, please try to speak slower than usual to allow interpreters to keep up. As of right now, we're going to start the public speaking session. We have elected officials present. Assemblyman Lester Chang, can you please step up?
Back from a summer.
Okay, again, I'm Assemblyman Lester Chan. Welcome back from a long summer. I hope you enjoy yourself, and the kids, I hope they had their fun. I have nothing but to add, but to say welcome, John Riccatone, welcome, Dr. Prado, and board members. The only thing I have information about my office is on the on Halloween Day, October 31st, which is a Friday. In front of my office street will be closed. We're going to have a nice Halloween party. Uh, Details to follow, but we will have fun games, and hopefully I'll see everyone out there. And that's all I have. And welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblyman. Can Mr. Vito Labella please step up? He's here in regards to Senator Steve Chan, Chief of Staff of Senator Steve Chan.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. As Assemblymember Chang said, welcome back from summer. We hope everyone had a restful vacation. I'm here to talk about just two things, an update about the cell phone ban. I know Dr. Lewis is going to speak about it. So I just wanted to, Senator Chan is on the Education Committee, the New York City Education Committee. So his job supposedly on these is these laws get presented to the committee, it's discussed, it's debated, and then it's voted on to be moved into the floor of the Senate or the floor of the Assembly. The cell phone legislation was not handled that way. The cell phone legislation was put into the budget by the governor. So there really was not a lot of feedback from the legislators. So the senator, as you may know or not know, is that he was a Title I representative. He was an SLT member. He was a PTA president. And so he's very much aware of all of the different roles in the schools. And he was, concerned, and he made suggestions about having this implemented in a way where you have this framework in the legislation, but allow the parents to implement it on the ground. So SLTs, in conjunction with the PAs, they should have decided exactly how this looks. The feedback that we're getting for the younger grades, elementary school, middle school, the cell phone bans seem to be pretty popular, or there's not a lot of noise against them. Some parents are concerned about safety, about if something happens in the school, if there's an emergency. But I think with the doors locked now, I think in pretty much all of the schools, I believe is the policy. I think that might be alleviated somewhat. What we're seeing is some of the schools that have these really stringent rules about internet-enabled devices, iPads, computers, laptops. The kids, especially the kids that have good executive skills, the kids who are very, very busy. They have clubs, they have after-school programs, they're doing tons of stuff. They actually use their free periods, their lunch periods to actually get work done, right? So they're not up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Some of them are doing college applications. They're running their nonprofit, some of these kids. So this is the problem, that those children who do have the executive functioning skills should be allowed to use appropriate devices, not necessarily a cell phone, but certainly iPads and laptops and things like that. So again, the legislative session starts again in January. We'll probably revisit it after hearing from the constituents in the neighborhood, talking to the CEC and to SLTs and PTAs throughout the district to see if we can advocate for any kind of amendments to the law. The other issue I want to speak about, I believe you guys know very well, is the funding issue. Senator Chan, along with Assemblyman Tanusis and others, we sent a letter to the governor requesting that the funding be restored to some of the schools that didn't have it. We heard back from the governor. We've heard back from a representative that pretty much says that, well, it is what it is, and this is the money, and this is how they decided it. I have shared that letter with CEC President John. And again, we'll take it from there. We'll continue to advocate for proper funding, after school funding for all of our schools. So again, my name is Vito Labella. I'm the legislative director. If you have an idea about legislation or you want to talk about anything school related, I myself served in the CEC with some of these fine people for 4 years, and I was a PTA president as well, SLT, the whole 9 yards. So, I'm simpatico with all of you guys and with parents especially. This is the first advocacy. It's very, very close to my heart. So my email is labella@nysenate.gov. I'm going to leave some information with the CEC, and they can disseminate that however they see fit. But thank you all. Thank you, CEC members, and have a great evening.
I'd like to call Mrs. Catherine Byrne from the council member elected Aviles' office.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Catherine Byrne. I'm representing Councilmember Alexa Aviles' office. I'll keep it short. I just wanted to welcome everyone back to the school year and thank the CEC for the work you're doing and continued partnerships. I did also want to mention we do have an event actually tomorrow close by. We're having a paper shredding event. If you have any old documents that you would like to get rid of securely, feel free to bring those by between west side of the Fort Hamilton Parkway, between 66th and 67th Street, between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. No sign up necessary. Just feel free to stop by. And besides that, we're really looking forward to working with everyone throughout this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, what avenue was the first shredding event? What avenue was it? Sorry.
It's 66th and 67th Street it's on the west side of Fort Hamilton.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
I'd like to call Mr. Steven Stow up to the mic, the past CEC 20 president.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Stowe, District 20 resident and parent. Unfortunately, I bring some bad news. The class size law is now in its third year of implementation. And starting in school year 26-27, District 20 is going to feel some real pain. Here's why. 70% of District 20 schools are Group 2 schools. These schools are defined by the DOE as schools that likely may not be able to meet the new class size mandates in their existing space and enrollment configurations. District 20 is one of the highest proportions of Group 2 schools in the city. The city is now in its fifth year to meet the requirements of, given 5 years to meet the requirements of the law. We're now in our third year. The current plan is expected to get them to 60% compliant. So far, they've been able to do things within existing space, but that time is ending. Last year, the DOE put out a request for schools to submit room conversion projects. That resulted in a whopping 25 new classrooms. There are 58,000 classrooms in the city that do not meet the mandate. Time is running out. Next fall, in the fall of 2026 admission process, schools will have to dramatically cut back on the number of seats they can offer for entry in the fall of 2027. Here's some specific examples in District 20. IS 201, the Madeline Brennan School, currently has only 18% of classes in compliance. So 82% of its classes are too big according to the class size law. And Brennan is one of the Group 2 schools that does not have the physical capacity to expand. The average core instruction class at Brennan has, give or take, 28 kids. The new class size cap for middle schools is 23. Without any other changes, that means an almost 20% reduction in the number of students at Brennan. Brooklyn School of Inquiry, 61 classes, only 7 are compliant. Almost 90% of classes in BSI will have to be reduced. BSI had 2 first grades last year with 54 kids. Under the law, first grade must be capped at 20 students per class. That means your first grade is going from 54 to 40, 25% reduction in the number of kids admitted to BSI. At the Benson School, PS 200, only 2 of the 9 first grade classes are compliant. The average first grade is 23 kids. That will reduce to about 20, a 13% reduction. That means your entering first grade class will drop from 205 to about 180. Fewer seats for fewer kids. Sounds bad, right? Less access, less opportunity. But everything is not lost. There is something you can do. Parents should contact the DOE, the UFT, and the CSA and ask for an exemption for a school. You can request it for your current school or for a school you're hoping to send your child to. That way, when it comes time for you to apply to the school of your choice, you will have more opportunities for your kids, not less. And please contact your CEC members and your elected officials and ask them to ask the DOE, the UFT, and the CSA to approve exemptions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We will be calling on Brian Aguilar. You know where he's from? You know where he's from?
He's a parent.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, then. Hey, my name is Brian Aguilar. I am the Director of Tournaments and Senior Program Manager at American Debate League. Some of you might remember me from a while back. The reason that I'm here is that American Debate League has had drastic increase since the pre-COVID days when we ran the District 20 Debate League. We now are in District 24, 25, 30, 26, 27, 28. We are also in Brooklyn now. We're in District 18, 19, 32, and to be announced possibly D23, along with District 10 and 11 in the Bronx. Our growth is monumental, and we want to bring that growth back to District 20, one of the very first district leagues that we had in American Debate League back in COVID days. We have 2 schools in District 20 that we are in partnership with, Brooklyn School of Inquiry, which was just mentioned, and IS 187 through their NIA program. If we could just build up 2 more schools to bring into the American Debate League, we could have a district sanctioned 20 debate league under the American Debate League and bring public speaking and debate to more students in the district. It's very personal to me because it was actually one of the very first districts in tournaments that I ran about 6 or 7 years ago. So I would like it to really return. I also want to announce that IS 187 and the Brooklyn School of Inquiry is under talks with American Debate League to be able to travel to the Harvard Invitational National Tournament in February and compete for a national title after years of growing those programs since 2017. So I just wanted to bring that news to the district regarding the growth, the possibility for a District 20 Debate League, the continuing growth in our programs, especially those attending Harvard, and what we're able to do going forward in this district. I really hope that this is able to occur and we're able to grow this program into District 20 just as it was in the past. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Now we would like to call up Mr. Luis Camacho, a parent, in regards to physical education.
Thank you. My name is Luis Camacho, and I'm the proud parent of a hyperactive kindergarten student in the NEST program at Touts. I'd like to start by saying that the days of New York City public schools taking advantage of parents' lack of awareness regarding New York State education regulations ends today. Out of respect for the already established and amazing school climate and professionals at Touts, I will not be using any names. I communicated my son's needs and the PE regulations to the school regarding scheduling physical education and physical activity in May 2025. As a District 21 physical education instructional coach, I hosted a PE compliance training in May 2025 that Touts attended to prepare for the school year ahead. My son's teacher provided a schedule that was finalized that did not adhere to regulations on the first day back. I reached out to the principal and I haven't heard back regarding a resolution. I followed up by sending an email early this morning to every member of the CEC and district team members, and I still have not gotten a response. My intention is not to negatively disrupt the already established amazing school climate at Touts or in District 20. My intention is to raise awareness on the issue regarding lack of adherence to New York State education regulations and support District 20 and all the New York City public school parents in ensuring that their child gets an adequate physical education. At my son's 68th precinct soccer team and at our Taekwondo studio on Bay Parkway, the gossip amongst parents is the same. It's one day of physical education and it's in multiple District 20 schools. The lack of enforcement in our district undermines the integrity of physical education as a subject. It compromises student health and development, and it sends a message that compliance is negotiable. It's not. With that said, they tell me that I talk a lot. That's not a lie, so if you're not doing what's best for kids, that puts you in an awful spot. I'm calling shots. The school system is off its rock. Sunlight and movement never felt this unorthodox. Politicians tell kids' successes to read and write, and then sit our kid behind a desk and tell them to just be quiet. No health inside a school where they could feed you processed food. Read and write and add, those kids don't even move. It's the truth, natural. Natural's not behind a desk. That's the type of attitude you get when you prescribe a test. While I digress, little Billy lives in dire stress. He's losing confidence. His teacher's like, just try your best. Disgusting in this country what they do to little kids. We could do the arithmetic, fake food, tell them sit. Read that and read this. Sit down and see this. Don't move, act right, be quiet, and eat this. I can honestly say without knowing any of the people in this room that I care deeply about your life and your well-being, as ensuring the life and well-being of my child and all children in our district and the city is up to you. I hope to hear from all of you soon in ways that we can collaborate further. Thank you, CEC and District 20 for your time.
Thank you so much. Now we will share the agenda for tonight's calendar meeting. I would now like to recognize several guests here with us tonight. Superintendent Dr. David Cueto, Family Leadership Coordinator Bill Chin, Family Support Coordinator Sylvia Jasinski, Council President Josephine Cangliosi, Title I DPAC Chair Christina Shear, and if anybody else I missed. As of right now, we're going to have a presentation from Christina Shear, Chair of Title I.
Hi, everyone. To give you an overview, a very quick 101 on what Title I is, why it's important for our district, and what our next steps are for the fiscal year for our students. So Title I is very important so that all of our school districts understand how this funding serves our students. And unfortunately, we don't have a clear view of how much funding we'll have for this fiscal year just yet. We will get that information hopefully by mid-October. But I wanted to give you an idea of how schools qualify, what parents need to do in order to get this funding for their schools. So does anyone in the room right now, or if you're online, if you want to use your reactions and raise your hand, does anyone know what Title I is at all? Raise your hand if you know what it is. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Anyone online? Do you know what Title I is? Okay. So basically, it was created in 1965, but updated in 2015 by the Every Student Succeeds Act, and it's supposed to close the achievement gap and ensure educational equity across our district. And schools that have 40% or more of students from low-income families are eligible for Title I funds. So that is something that is measured by the Family Income Inquiry Form. I know that we all get those emails. I'm a parent myself from a middle school and an elementary school student in District 20. And you get those emails from your parent coordinator or from your school administration. You're just like, oh, I have to fill something else out in the beginning of the year. That form is imperative for you to receive those funds. You have to be honest and transparent about your student OSIS ID. Like, make sure that everything from your income to your school that they're attending is valid in that system. That's the only way that we can ensure that every single school in District 20 gets the resources that they need. So if you don't fill out that form, say, for example, one school does 90%, another school does 30%. That school that only has 30% parent participation will not get the necessary funds that they need for their community. I know that there are trepidations and hesitations to really solidifying or putting your information in like a digital platform, but that's the only way that we can measure across the district what each school needs. So I can't stress it enough that it's very important that you encourage your families, you encourage your parents to fill out that form, whether it's through your parent coordinator. I don't know if you're using Class Dojo or other communication systems. You have a question?
We don't do questions right now.
Oh, sorry. Or if it's Class Dojo, whatever communication tool your school is using at the moment, reach out to your administration. If you have never heard of this form, the Family Income Inquiry Form allows us to give you the services that, and the funding that you need. So just to put it into perspective, nationally, the entire United States gets $18 billion in Title I funding. New York State gets $1.2 billion. And our New York City DOE gets $800 million. What I am talking about, what I'm responsible for, I get 1% of that. 1%. So there's $800,000 to disperse across District 20. And like I said, I don't have clear numbers, but we have to allocate and distribute that across the district accordingly. So if you don't fill out these forms, we can't, support after school activities or additional family engagement supports where you can really bond with your students and your school community as a unit and not be individualized or isolated. The best thing that I can really offer the district, I think, is to simplify and streamline how to distribute these funds. I hope to meet the new Title I chairs across the district. There's about 44 schools plus to train them to ensure that they know how much money they have, what centralize the vendors, making sure that they understand what's available for them, that we're aligning to the district's priorities for the fiscal year, and we're able to support students and families in a way that's fun and not necessarily drilling more content or more or delegating certain things to parents. I feel like we've been trying to work on a lot of translations to ensure that everyone is understanding what is being communicated in a clear way. We're trying to be very transparent about how much we can and cannot do. And then we also want to meet the demands of every school administration that says if they have blackout dates for test prep, for certain holidays, for certain breaks, that we are being mindful of that so that their students are actually embracing all the things that we can offer. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But I am building a website so that you can see which vendors we are highlighting each month. And also being very clear about how much we can and can't do for parents. If there's something more that we can do, I'm very open to suggestions or recommendations. If there is a vendor that may be DOE approved and we can do more, that'd be great. But if not, I hope I can do as much as I can for all of you.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Yeah.
Can you just share your information in the chat
Of
so
course.
everybody sees? Council members, do you have any questions for Christina in regards to Title I?
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy that my kids go to a Title I school, and it's great to have information about it. I know that our school body is really concerned about the threats to Title I funding on the federal level and the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty. And I know that you're, I'm sure, more concerned about it than anyone else is because your job is so central to it. And so I guess I'm just curious about, I guess my question is twofold. One, do you think that there's an effective way that parents who are concerned whose kids do go to Title I schools can be organizing or be effective right now in order to make sure that funding gets instated? And also, do you have a sense that if Title I funding is rescinded in this next budget, that there might be a way that this state or city is able to restore that funding? Or do you think that schools, I'm not asking you to like read the future, obviously, but do you think that schools should plan on that funding just disappearing if it's not enough?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I'm here. I'm trying to join forces with all of the District 20 President's Council so that we can all be a very aggressive effort to get the funding back if it is rescinded. But I feel like I'm very creative.
I love that.
So if we do have lesser funds, we do hope to either couple certain vendors that may work very well together, so that we can still have a great experience for families, still get the learning, meet our initiatives for the district. If not, I'm kind of leaning in where we can work with the PTA as well, so that we can have joint forces, and so that we can still grow our school communities across the district, and meet the needs of every parent, regardless of whether we have the funding or not. So I'm hoping to work with all of them in tandem with whatever budget I get to allocate and distribute the funds equitably. So that's really where I am right now. But yeah, I wish I had more information. I wish I had the numbers. That's my bread and butter. I don't have right now, but I hope to have it in the next meeting.
Could I ask you, are you in charge of the survey questionnaire?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. So that is like that's holistically the Department of Education. That's not even district.
Christina's the District Parent Advisory Council chair.
Okay.
So every Title I school has a district on the SLT has a Title I chair on, and Christina is the chair of that District 20 group of parents.
I don't own the survey, unfortunately.
Oh, no, because I was just saying maybe if they streamline it and make the questions easier, like, if you're above this income, then, so then it'll be like 100% participation, because you were saying that.
Well, I can name that now. If your income is over $100,000, you do not qualify for the income inquiry.
I know. So then they could just put that thing. So maybe that's why some parents don't participate, because they see that they are not even part of that. So maybe so if you want to get to that 100% participation rate, maybe the questionnaire could add that, so they don't have to answer more.
Sure. Yeah, I'll definitely take it and raise it to whatever hierarchy I can.
Oh, I thought it was lower than 100. I thought it was like 50. No, it's 100. Okay, good. Thanks. Good to know. Thank you.
I was just gonna say, for any families that need help in filling out this form of getting access to the form, you can reach out to your school, especially your parent coordinator. A lot of this information is on the DOE website, and it comes in multiple languages, so it's accessible to everybody. So just be aware.
Any other members want to ask a question for Title I? Thank you. Thank you, Christina.
Of course.
Unfortunately, we don't take questions from the public. If you want to meet with her, she could go on the side and speak to you in regards. If there's anybody on the CEC 20 Zoom meeting, if you have your hand raised, you have to sign up for the second public speaking. Next, we would like to call for presentation, Mr. Raj Goyal, founder of the Phone Free New York.
And John, I can just introduce him before that. Should I move or
Yeah.
Where should I go? Okay. So hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Alina Lewis. I'm on the CEC. I'm really excited to introduce our next two speakers. The first one is going to be Raj Goyal, and he was instrumental in passing the statewide cell phone ban, and is very familiar with some of the research and the why behind this policy. And then the second one is Katie Jerlenik from the DOE. And Katie is going to be able to talk a little bit more specifically about how the DOE has been supporting schools in implementing the ban. I come to this issue as a parent to a preteen girl, and I've seen and watched very closely some of the damage that cell phones and social media can do to young people. And I also come to the conversation as a researcher who has been following some of the data and the research, which all is pointing to how dangerous these devices are for our kids. So I'm really invested in this conversation personally and personally and professionally, and I'm very interested in starting this conversation in this district among parents. So consider tonight sort of an opening to this conversation where we can get a little more familiar with some of the research, some of the rationale behind the policy, and again, just start a conversation and figure out how, as a community, we can start to address this. So I'm going to turn it over to Raj in a second, and then we'll go to Katie. And we don't do typical questions from the audience in this format, but if we have time when they're both finished, I will look through the chat and I can do some index cards for people in person. And if we have time to field some questions or comments, I will look through those and direct them to our two speakers. So I'm going to turn it over to Raj. Raj, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great, we can hear you. So it's all yours.
Helena, thank you so much, and good evening, everybody. I really am honored to be talking to you, and I apologize that I couldn't be there in person, although I know we have a lot of folks here on Zoom. I am Raj Goyal. I am the founder of Phone Free New York, and Phone Free New York is a independent nonprofit that I started and founded in January of this year with the sole purpose of establishing a phone-free, distraction-free school environment for New York's public school students. And I'm very happy to report that we have achieved such a said goal. And so, I think a lot of us have probably been involved in various activities and efforts, and most often they don't work out. This one we had a nice win. We had a nice win in a short amount of time. I think the best use of time, Alina, if it's okay, which is what I'll do is I'll just sort of give you a little bit of background on how the law came to be, if that's helpful, and then the why, and then more on implementation. And I know, and I heard when I logged in that you don't take questions now, but I certainly would much prefer to have more robust Q&A. So what I'll do is I'll keep my presentation to maybe 5 to 7 minutes, and then maybe I think you said that maybe we could get some time back after the next speaker, and that way we could have more back and forth and interactivity, if that's okay. Great. So a little bit of the backstory on how the law came to be in New York, and I could also sort of give you background on the issue nationally, as Alina mentioned. So, for me, I'll tell you sort of my personal story. In my day job, I am somebody who runs technology businesses. So I founded an AI company and sold it, and I do a lot in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation. So I love technology. I am a big innovation guy, but I also, as I like to say, am a dad first. So I have 2 teenage daughters. The first, you always remember your first one. You call it, yeah. So I cannot believe she's 15. But Anna is at Hunter High School, and then my younger daughter, who's 13, she is at a private school in Lower Manhattan. And so as I was, and then I also have this curious background where I am a former elected official. So I was one of the first Indian Americans elected in America. I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas. Many of you, Kansas is a state in America. I don't know. It's in the middle of the country, and real people live there. And so it's rectangular. And so I'm originally from Wichita. I grew up there. I left, went to college and law school. Then I went back and I served in the Kansas State Legislature. If you can believe that, from 2006 to 2010, even ran for the U.S. House unsuccessfully before I moved full-time to New York. And my wife is a New York native. She's the daughter of 2 public school teachers from Orange County, New York. And so I, from an early age in my career, was seeing what was happening with technology and data and privacy. And frankly, we were doing nothing on it. And so I was elected at an early age. And then when I was out and then I was in the private sector, I was seeing, oh my gosh, these platforms have achieved the most incredible amount of power that, frankly, I think in American history, it's fair to say we have never given an industry this much untrammeled power ever. And so there is, just to geek out for a second, there is something called Section 230. Section 230 was a little provision in the 1996 deregulation of the Telecommunications Act, which basically said that a platform, internet company, we didn't know the word platform then, could essentially do what it wants and not be held liable for anything. That is the plain English version of this little paragraph. That paragraph has enabled trillions of dollars of value of these companies that you know of that we now call social media platforms. And so when cell phones came out, of course, we were all excited. We all got cell phones. I don't know if you probably are all old enough to remember flip phones. I got my first phone in 1999, and then the smartphone came out about, almost 10 years later. And so what happened, of course, is that sort of unbeknownst to us, these technologies took off. And so everybody had a phone. And so what happened is Jonathan Haidt, some of you know his work. It's called The Anxious Generation. That's a very big bestseller, I think, in the history of books that have changed America. John Haidt's book will go down at the same level of Ralph Nader's Unsafe at Any Speed, which ushered in car safety, Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, which ushered in the modern environmental movement. And so he documented the fact that flip phones and phones are great. As I said, we all love technology and the innovation. But the smartphone and the addictive nature of algorithms and how we all get these dopamine hits from these phones, I'm the first to admit I'm totally addicted to my phone, but I'm 50 years old, is that we've realized it's had a horrific effect on our children. And so what's happened is he's got the data, and there's actually a big story in the New York Times last weekend about another scholar as well, Jennifer Twenge. And what's happened is we've realized that actually there has been a massive amount of distraction and addiction to these, Jean Twenge, the other scholar, that has actually had a negative impact. So as we know in schools, what happens is that there's now cyberbullying, there's depression, there's suicidal ideation, particularly with our teenage girls. When I'm at that school, everybody's clustered around a device. At lunchtime, at recess, my daughter had a play date and a sleepover, and she didn't have a good time because everybody was, the 10 girls, but there were 3 groups, 3 clusters all staring at YouTube Shorts or TikTok. And so that's just the reality of our life. Obviously, we can discuss this and, and people may have their views. That's all the background to say that then what happened is there was a movement to say, wait a second here. I think during the school day, it's not a crazy idea that we put these things away. And we're not talking about what happens at home. We're not talking about who owns the phone. We're not making moral judgments. We are saying that during the school day, we think it's better for educational outcomes and social outcomes, and I'm going to say, and for mental health, that we put these phones away during the day. And so that was the backdrop. Last year in 2024 session, the New York legislature passed something called the SAFE Act, and that's Stop Addictive Feeds. And I was a small player in that, supported that law. The regulations are still yet to come out, but that would actually age verify addictive algorithms from social media platforms. So that's actually a very sweeping law that will be challenged in court and has not yet taken effect or hasn't been implemented yet. So then that was a precursor to the fact that the teachers, NYSUT, the teachers union, and the governor said, hey, we need to take action on what's called a bell-to-bell ban. Bell-to-bell is a jargon in the community that means what it's commonsensical. When the bell starts, you put the phone away, and when the bell rings to end the school day, you get your phone back. That's a true bell-to-bell ban. So the governor and the legislature went out and said, hey, we're going to support this. The teachers did conferences all over the state through a process called Disconnected. It was a very, very interesting and fascinating and grassroots process. And then I started Phone Free New York. I worked in coalition with wonderful organizations like Fair Play for Kids, the National Phone Free movement, MAMA, Mothers Against Media Addiction, Common Sense Media, many, many groups. And we were sort of maybe the lead group to really advocate during the legislative session. And bottom line is we do have some opposition. It is, I should remind everybody, a 70% opinion, supported issue in public opinion polls. So this is a popular law. And how many things in America, in politics today, can we say that Republicans and Democrats, suburban, rural, urban, all support it equally at the same levels? It's really a fascinating thing. You don't see a dip. This isn't a Republican issue, a Democratic issue, an urban issue, or a rural issue. It's just not. It's a really common sense issue. So just to wrap up, what happened is it was passed in May. We're very proud that it got through. And we spent the summer, there was a deadline. Every school district in the state, about 7,000 school districts, had to, 700 school districts had to submit a plan. And obviously, I'm eager to learn more about, how it's going in your school district. And, I can tell you anecdotally, in my daughter's public school, she came back from the first day and was like, wow, now she's not a social media kid, admittedly, but she's like, it was great. People weren't on YouTube Shorts. And so, the law is the law, which basically very quickly, it's a simple law. It's a one-page law. If it's an internet-enabled device, it has to be put away. And every school district, it can come up with the storage policy it wants. Some schools use Yonder pouches. Some just use a drawer. And, I personally am kind of an IKEA guy. Schools have cabinets, Sharpies, Ziplocs, folders, and we did the legislature did allow student lockers to be allowed. So at my daughter's school, the student locker is sort of the recommended storage facility. Backpacks are not allowed because we know the research shows that even if it's on your body, and I'll say this from firsthand experience, if my phone's in my pocket, I have more of an inclination to grab that thing and, my God, the sky's going to fall if I don't check my email or my text, my gosh. And usually, of course, what happens is everything's just fine. Alina, if that's okay, should I just maybe pause there? And I could obviously speak a little bit more about implementation, but I'd rather, as I said, reserve more time for interactive Q&A if we can.
Sure. Thank you so much, Raj. I'm going to have Katie come up now and talk a little bit about how the DOE has been implementing it. And then if we have time for questions, I'd love to take some.
Great.
Yeah. Where should you go, you guys? Oh, there? Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Just 1 second, you're muted right now.
Give me one moment.
Good. Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Dodolanek, and I work for New York City Public Schools in the Office of Policy and Advocacy. And one of the jobs of my office is to do engagement around major policy decisions and, provide feedback to my colleagues about how we can best implement these policies successfully based on that feedback. And we did a lot of engagement about this topic when the state passed the law, but even previous to that, we were fortunate to already be sort of talking about this issue. And so we were really, prepared to hit the ground running once the state passed the law. I think Alina and Raj have done me a favor because they've given you guys a lot of background that I would normally give when I'm talking about this. So I'll stick to what I think all parents in New York City Public Schools should know, which is the parameters under which schools have to work to implement this new policy. The law, and as a result, our Chances Regulation A413, are drafted in a way that does give schools a lot of flexibility in how they implement this, which we're very grateful for because, as you all know, we're a big system with a lot of very different schools of different sizes, serving different ages, and it was helpful for us to be able to give schools that flexibility. But there are some things that are universal. One is the state calls this the bell-to-bell cell phone ban for a reason. It applies to students are not able to use their phones on school property during school hours. So that's universally true, on school property during school hours. Schools are required to provide a method of storage for the phone. Doesn't necessarily mean collection. We know some schools are going to choose to collect the phones and are choosing to collect the phones, but it's a method of storage. And as Raj indicated, that method may vary from school to school, depending on what makes sense for their student population. You'll see pouches, you'll see lockers, you'll see cubbies. But we were able to, give people some guidance about that. And also we were very lucky to receive money from both the state and the city in June to help with implementation of this and get that out to schools to buy whatever resources they needed to be ready for day one. Schools are required to make sure parents have a clear, direct way to contact somebody at the school in the case that they do need to talk to their student. This has always been good policy for schools, but it's in the state law, it's in the regulation, and it's something that we've emphasized with schools. You need to be clear about this and communicate this to your families, because they want them to be able to get in contact with the student if there is a reason they need to be in contact. There are a handful of exemptions both in the state law and in our policy. And those exceptions are handled differently on a school-to-school basis, but there are some broad categories. I'll give an example of one, and then happy to answer questions about what some of the others may be. But the most common one we get is a medical exemption. If there's a medical reason why a student may need to keep a device on them, we do try to, that's a valid accommodation, and we have working with schools to know that they ensure that they know that and that they should accommodate that. The most common example of this is if a student has diabetes and they use an internet-enabled device to track their blood sugar. Of course, that's a very understandable exception, and the school would work with the family to accommodate that. Again, there are other exceptions that I'd be happy to talk about more at length, but I think those are really the parameters that all schools are complying with right now. They need to let parents know how they can get in touch with their student. They need to be clear about the exception policy. They need to implement this from bell to bell on school property during the school day. That might mean some schools have slightly different policies. If they have an after-school program, if they have a Saturday program, they may choose to continue that policy for those other hours, or they may not. But that's a flexibility that schools have. And they must provide at least one method of storage, although there is a lot of flexibility on what that looks like from school to school. The last thing I'll say, which I think is very important, and I think the gentleman left from the state senator's office, but he did talk about an important thing I think people should know, which is it's often referred to as the cell phone ban, and that's the most common item, but it does apply to a wide range of personal internet-enabled devices, laptops, iPads, smartwatches. Smartwatches come up a lot. The state law does include all of those. It does not apply to school devices. So if your school has provided a device for a student, they are still able to use it. And there is some room for academic exceptions as well. So I hope that's helpful. I think that's important to know, like that's what all schools are going to be doing, but it will vary from school to school. It's very important to us as a system to give schools flexibility on decisions like this, because principals will know what is best for their schools. So you will see some variation, but that's the universal things that everyone should be looking out for.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Alina.
Do any council members have questions or comments for Raj?
To Raj for the phone-free New York. I mean, sometimes we do kind of need phones, like in an emergency situation, like when something happens, it just happens all of a sudden. So we can't anticipate it. Like what happens if a shooter goes into class? You cannot anticipate it, because like 2-3 weeks ago, in my brother's work environment, a guy had like a machine gun, the one that happened in the city. And for those incidents, I think about like what happens if there's an emergency and something like this happens and they're locked up. So I kind of think about this and my sister's like, oh, we grew up without phones, but then we also had landlines and people that will answer the landlines. And nowadays they took away a lot of the phone booths. So then there's no way for you to borrow, like some people don't even let you borrow their phone because you have so much information on your phone. So I just want to put that out there. It's a kind of dangerous world. And with an emergency situation, I want to speak to my kid, like if emergencies happening inside their school.
Great. Is it okay if I reply to that?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the, in fact, I'm so glad you raised that question. It is the number one question that comes up at events like this, and I should have touched on that in my remarks, so I apologize. So it's interesting, I just pulled up, the short answer to that is that I personally had that concern as well before I started becoming a big advocate on this issue. And the reason I was convinced is that the first responders, the NYPD and the NYFD and the emergency folks all support the ban. The reason they support the ban is that as parents, we all know that we desperately want to be in touch with our children. And of course we want to talk to them if they're ever, I probably hang on a little too tight. I want to make sure my daughter ate her potato chips at lunch. But That's a natural instinct. The other instinct is to make sure they're safe. And the emergency responders have been very, very clear that in an emergency, one of the last things we want is for children to be on their phones, distracted, calling, trying to take action in a certain way that could actually be harmful. We do have horrible, tragic, difficult to even contemplate stories. Or there was a school shooting and someone heard a phone go off and then turn that way. And so there are a lot of obviously, and I even heard, and I don't know any details, I heard there was a shooting today in Denver at a school. So I understand, I think we all do, the incredibly horrific disease we have in this country of these shootings. All that being said, remember that the adults at school all have their phones. The teachers and the administrators all have their phones. As Katie mentioned, every school must refresh its emergency contact system. They all have emergency protocols. So I would say that we have to trust the school to use its emergency protocols to get our kids to safety. And then as soon as the opportunity allows for the children to access their phones, then of course they should be in touch with their loved ones.
Thanks. Other question? Yeah, Stephen.
Katie was discussing some of the policy. With our District 75 schools, there were 4 of them with multiple co-located schools. It seems to be a pretty similar policy. They decided to confiscate the phones, which is okay. So I just had some questions, and I did email the different principals. Is there a receipt issue, accountability? How are they being stored and tracked? What type of security? When that room or locker, so these devices don't disappear. What's going on with that? What was kind of interesting, in the policy, I was told by 2 principals, they got back and says, oh, put this sentence in there. So if there's a lost or stolen device, they get sent to the controller's office. And anyone that's filed a claim with the city. So what do we do with our families that can't afford to go out and buy a phone that very next day for their child? What about our latchkey kids? We have some children that are transportation independent. And also, if they do take the bus, they can, as long as the parent signs, they can just take themselves into their house. So if that phone is lost or stolen, what will the school do prior to sending that kid out, whether they're walking to a subway or a bus, if they're having that? And then just to kind of mention to it, I heard or read, I believe it was from the governor's office, what they said, if there's an emergency, these kids need to focus on the instructions they're being given. And if you have children acting independently, if they're being asked to leave, vacate, regardless of the emergency, so they can pay attention. And like it's been alluded to, we got to put our trust in our teachers. We're sending our children to the schools, so we have to have some trust in them that they practice and have a plan in place. But that was just something with the policy that I saw. And what I found most concerning was the controller's office. If you have my property, you're responsible, then you got to make it right. Like, you shouldn't be telling me to fill out a claim, especially for the parents and guardians that don't have the means to be able to replace it.
Yeah, so one thing for us as a system that may not be true of other systems in the state is that this is not a totally new thing for us. About half of our schools did this prior to the law or had some sort of plan in place prior to the law. So that's been helpful to us as we've been able to know a little bit about best practices. And to your point, look a little bit into what has happened in the past if a phone is stolen, if a phone is damaged. This has always been the policy that when a phone, like something happens to a piece of property on school property, we follow what all the city agencies do, which is the process of the controller's office. We actually did speak to the controller a little bit to see, what's the size of this issue for us, and what we might expect with the sudden whole system on board. And it has been a pretty negligible problem. We've gotten some feedback about how, this would work. I think one thing that's good to think about that we're going to keep an eye on is this exact thing. Are we going to see an uptick in these claims? Are we going to see an uptick in these problems? For a long time, basically all summer, honestly, I was thinking, we're going to see more. We're going to see more of it. Schools will lose the phone, right? Which is feedback we heard a lot. And then I was actually thinking about it the other day, and I was like, if the phones aren't out in the hallways, right? If the kids aren't on them, are they going to fall and drop and crack less? Are they actually going to, are the kids going to lose them more? Are they not going to get grabbed in the hallway more? So I think that's an open question that we're going to have to definitely keep our eye on. We are part of the city, and we do follow the city's policies for what happens on city property for a lot of things. But this, this is an important thing, I think, for us to keep an eye on and determine, if we do need something more specific here based on that. And I just want to say one more thing, because you mentioned the bus, and I should have said this when I was talking. One thing that I'm really pleased that the state thought about and when they drafted the law is, I'm sure some of you remember 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the system did have a no cell phone policy, very different time. And we had this, the phones weren't even allowed in the building. So some of you may remember there used to be, kids would go to the bodega, store their phone for $1. There were the cell phone trucks. We heard a lot of feedback from parents about the safety thing, about particularly as kids travel to and from school in the city. Some in the school, of course, but also that. And I'm very happy that they are able to travel with the phones and bring them and have them stored, with some appropriate measures at the school. I think that's a thing that people in the city with that memory really were concerned about.
And something I can add on that's specific to the district, the schools have opted for the grand majority, either the Yonder pouch, and that's the majority in middle school, where the phone is locked magnetically and children are carrying it on their person around for the school day. And elementary schools have by and large opted for the lockers. So lock and key in the classroom, the phones are placed in there and they're locked during the school day. So, we don't have any instances where schools are using Ziploc bags or, we did have a couple of schools in the early stages of the school year because their lockers had not been delivered yet by the vendor. They hadn't received their pouches yet. So they were still required to lock. It had to be locked in the key. Majority of schools were using the classroom lockers, locking those devices in the lockers for the school day until the cell phone lockers arrived. So the security was something that was very much on the minds of principals when they were deciding and working with their SLTs to decide upon the method for storage. And security was paramount.
Yeah, like I agree that 75 schools too, because so the children aren't distracted. It's just the matter of once you take a property, it has to be properly secured, and in essence, the DOE is for it because it's not locked in a student's locker; it's locked in an office. So they're taking these devices from the children, whether they put it in a Ziploc, something with the name, and then they're locking it. And that was in essence the question. And I'm still waiting for the specific answers from them. Like I haven't got an answer. How are they secure? And I agree with that policy because our District 75 kids can be easily distracted. So that's fine. But just the accountability of it, because it's the school personnel that are taking possession of the property. That's why I asked. So they give them a receipt to prove that it was taken. And then if property, there should be a plan in place where they don't get lost, basically.
There absolutely should be. And individual school plans, it will vary from school to school, but individual school plans should express to parents once the school takes possession of the phone, if that's what the school is choosing to do, what their steps are for ensuring that the phone is safe and will be returned to their student at the end of the day.
And
Alina,
Yeah, hold on one second, Steve. Go ahead, Raj.
Sorry, wonderful back and forth. I just want to add one other thing, which is all the data has shown that, as Katie mentioned, many schools before this law just did it on their own. I mean, there was nothing prohibiting a school from taking a policy and doing this. So we have a lot of data on how this goes. And what's interesting is, once a culture changes at a school, so I can't speak to this exact, that the gentleman was talking about in terms of actually, I hear the concern. It's a very valid one that the school's taking it and therefore, and who's got custody of it. But a lot of schools, it becomes a culture thing where it's uncool to then have your phone out and you're going to get busted. And so what happens is the need to actually have the phone stored away or under lock and key like it's contraband actually changes when people realize you just shouldn't have your phone out. And so people get more comfortable about making sure they're in the student locker. I will say, this is my personal view, the law does not allow backpacks. But my personal view is that over the next few years, as our culture changes, and I think this becomes nationally a policy, and we realize that it was just really smart, the same way that when the car came out, the car was awesome but very dangerous. Cars would blow up, and there weren't seatbelts, and there weren't airbags. And now we realize the car is great. We just needed reasonable safeguards. My prediction is that over the next few years, we will actually have this will become a de facto policy, and we won't worry so much about where the phone is stored during the day, because it'll just be not acceptable to be on your phone during the school day.
Awesome. Yeah. So John and Kelly.
I just have a question. I received numerous emails from parents in regards to homework that the children can't go on the internet due to the enabled electronic devices. Is there anything that you could do in regards to that?
Yeah, so it's important to remember that the policy applies to personal devices. They can still use the devices that the school gives them or that are at the school, in the classroom. I know some schools, they may have a device for every kid. Some schools may not have a 1-to-1 ratio. The other thing I'll say is that there is a exception in the law and in our regulation for as an academic exception. The most common example we give for this, right, is if you're a high school student and you're working on college applications, you're working on FAFSA applications, you may need that phone that day because you need to, access information on that phone to fill out the application. Maybe you need to do multi-factor authentication. So there is a mechanism for it if there's an academic reason why a school believes that the student will need their phone for a certain period of time, that they can go through that process.
I was interested in what Raj was saying about the change in culture. And I hope that as this becomes national, that's something that people decide to collect data on, that researchers decide to collect data on, because obviously my sample size is very small, but my son just went into 6th grade, and he all in 5th grade was like, I need a phone for middle school. I need a phone for middle school. I need a phone for middle school. And then this passed, and I was like, well, no one's going to have a phone in middle school. And I didn't know how he'd respond, obviously. And he was like, oh, thank God. And he hasn't asked for a phone since. And so I feel like the way that high schoolers who feel like phones have been taken away from them, it will be very different from children who are in elementary and middle school who never had phones and so don't feel the same deprivation. And I think that it actually feels optimistic. And like a lot of things, there might be some sort of cultural change in the way that students pay attention in school, and it's not cool to have a phone. And so I think it'll be really interesting to track that over the next couple of years in terms of separating out cohorts of whether students had their phones taken away or whether they just grew up without ever having a phone in school.
That's a wonderful point. If I could just quickly say, thanks for that anecdote. So one thing that Jonathan Haidt always talks about, which is if you ask kids and what the data shows, everybody says, not everybody, but huge majorities that say, yes, please take my phone away under one condition. Everybody's phone is taken away because of FOMO and fear of missing out. And look, that's not a kid thing. Let's all admit it. We all have FOMO. Someone's invited to a party. You can be 65 years old or 15 years old. It's still the same psychology. So I really appreciate your comment. I do think that it's a very hopeful sign. It's a great anecdote from your son. To your point about data and research, there is a lot of social science interest that is coming out. There's been a lot of studies abroad and in England, Australia, and other places, but I'm quite sure there are people all over New York, because we're the largest state now with the bell-to-bell ban. We've gotten a lot of national media because we're in New York about it, because we're in New York. There's a lot of attention to it, but I do think there will be a lot of studies about, and particularly, I know I've name-checked him a few times, but John Haidt's shop, he's still a social scientist at NYU. He's in New York. He's a Brooklyn dad. He was a public school dad. Like, they're still doing a lot of data collection on this. So I do think it is hopeful. And the very last thing I'll say on this, which is, I think there's a much larger conversation that the cell phone ban is part of around technology in schools generally. There is a movement of people and advocates who think we shouldn't even have laptops or iPads. in the school building. We should go back to when we were kids, with laminates and projectors and so on. I'm not expressing an opinion on that, but I do think for purposes of discussion for the community, you should be aware that there is that movement.
Awesome. Raj, thank you so much for joining our meeting. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I know you're very busy, so thank you so much. And Katie, where are you? Thank you so much. And folks can continue to send the CEC questions, and if they're particular for Katie or Rob, I can pass those on. So thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
John,
Thanks. Have a great night. Sorry I wasn't there in person.
Thanks, Raj.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the speakers and Dr. Alina Lewis. Now I'm going to do the council president report. It's in regards to after school funding. Oh, we have? Oh, she just went.
Oh, they're together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So we're going to do, in regards to after school funding, I would like to thank all our bipartisan elected officials that wrote a letter for Governor Kathy Hochul in regards to the after school funding, and also all the members that reached out to all the elected officials. As of right now, we have 4 schools that do not have after school from the LEASE program, which is PS IS 104, PS 112, PS 185, and PS 192. Unfortunately, OCFS, the commissioner, Dr. Damia Harris Madden, responded by stating it was a competitive award, which will last for 5 years. And the money ran out, and they utilized funds for sports and after school. What they did provide us with CCAP, where you could actually apply for it. It's actually on our website on cec20.org. It's for families that would receive funding. If your threshold is $113,000, you can view that on the CEC website, like I said. Also on our CEC website, we have a link for free classes from the Parent University. All you have to do is create an account, join, and sign up for free classes. We also have on the CE website Youth Advisor Leadership. This is a new program, New York City Office of Prevention of Hate Crimes for children ages 8 to 18. And it's to become leaders of inclusion, equity, and respect in their schools and communities. The applications are now opened. You could fill it out by going to our cec20.org site, and the program will launch on October 1st. That's it for the president's report. Now I'd like to introduce Superintendent Dr. David Preto.
Great. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome again council for next year. Really looking forward to working with all of you. And good evening to the district. Share our screen here. So this evening, I'll give a presentation on the end of year data from the state exams, go over the DCP priorities in the district, and just highlight some new programming in the district in this upcoming year. This first slide is just a description of the district-wide ELA math and science 5th and 8th grade exam results. In the ELA department, the district scores went up 6.4% for a total of 67.3% in the district. That places us almost in a virtual tie for third in the city. You'll see on the next slide. It's the highest district performance level since the exams for standards aligned in 2014. In math, we went up 2.2% for 72.3% overall percentage of students scoring 3 and 4. This is also highest district performance since standards alignment in 2014. And in the second year of the next generation science exams, the 5th and 8th grade, the scores went up 7.2% across those two grades. Just to highlight some of the subgroup performance. So first with English language learners, comparison between 2024 and 2025. We have 3 categories of English language learners. We have students who are currently English language learners. We have students who are what are now referred to as ever English language learners, students who used to be English language learners but passed the NYSESLAT and are now scoring commanding in the NYSESLAT. So they're called ever Ls. And then there are never Ls. There are students who entered the system not English language learners. So these are the 3 kind of categories we look at when we think of English language learners. In this last year, the level 3 and 4 for students who are currently Ls went up 7.4%. Students who are former Ls went up 6%, and students who were never Ls went up 8.3%. Something just of note in this data is the comparison between the performance of students who are former Ls and students who are never Ls. You'll notice that former Ls in both years outperform students who were never Ls. It's one of the kind of high-level data points we look at when we discuss bilingual and dual language programs as opportunities for acceleration and promoting bilingualism. For students with disabilities, we also saw increases in performance levels. So students who were students with disabilities who scored 3 and 4 increased by 7.1% last year, whereas students who were not students with disabilities increased 5.7%. There's still a significant gap between the performance of students who are not students with disabilities and students who are, but there was a slight increase over the non-students with disabilities. For students who are performing far below, who are students who are scoring level 1, this is where we're looking to decrease the number of students who are scoring level 1. In 2024, we had 3,500 students across the entire district who scored level 1, and in 2025, we had 766 less students score level 1. So that's something, and I highlight that because that is part of our goal this year in looking at how we're monitoring progress and setting goals and targets in the district. And then for ELA, this is just a slide that we show every year around the citywide ranking. District 20 has ranked 4th in the city for the last several years in ELA, but I do want to note that we have almost closed the gap for 3rd place with District 3. We're only 0.1% behind District 3 for 3rd place in the city. And I do want to highlight the number of students that we test and the percentage of English language learners that we support in District 20. For math, this is also the citywide ranking chart. We came into 3rd place in my 2nd year as superintendent, and I just want to again highlight the growth that we made and the gap that we've closed between ourselves and the district that we're behind. We're now in last year we were 8.5% behind the 2nd district, and this year we are 4.1% behind the district in 2nd place. So we did make some close the gaps overall in the district in math. And again, I want to highlight the number of students tested. Now I'm going to just go through a summary of the DCP priorities that are aligned to the chancellor's overall priorities. Every district completes a district comprehensive educational plan. You select system-wide priorities to align your goals with. So what these descriptions are the system-wide priorities that District 20 has utilized to set goals. Priority 1 is the literacy goal. All students will learn how to read well. And the 2 system-wide priorities we're focusing on is Obviously, the provision of literacy content aligned to the citywide instructional focus. The citywide instructional focus for our district this year is around providing tiered intervention to students to ensure that students who are performing, below and far below grade level are being provided with adequate and targeted intervention to support their specific reading needs, while also simultaneously ensuring that all students are being provided with the core curriculum to ensure that everyone is being provided with standards-aligned education and literacy. A specific piece around parent engagement that I want to highlight this year that parents can expect is that all parents 3 times this year can expect to receive a report on how their student is doing in terms of their academic screener data. So in District 20, this is the Acadience screener in grades K to 2, and the iReady screener in grades 3 to 8. Every parent can expect a report 3 times a year on how their student is doing on those screeners, and also information and workshops from their schools to understand how to interpret this data and understand what it means for them as parents. For students who are involved in intervention, parents can expect to receive specific information from their school on what that plan for intervention is, how long it will last, and how progress will be monitored by the school. Priority 2 is all students are physically and emotionally safe, and we've identified 2 system-wide priorities to focus on for our work. Number 1 is to develop safety infrastructure and systems. This has been one of our system-wide priorities for the last couple of years. Of particular note within this priority is the cell phone policy implementation, which Katie presented on, and Raj gave the presentation. So I'm really appreciative of that conversation around this. And I would like to say that the start of the school year with the cell phone policy implementation in the district has been as smooth as we could possibly hope. I really appreciate the principals' work on this. There was a very quick turnaround for the development of school-based policies and the implementation of this to be ready to go on day 1. And all of our schools were able to do it. And I'm really appreciative and thankful to the principals, their staffs, and to students and families and teachers to come together and make this happen in a very short period of time. What parents can expect, and my expectation has been that all parents were provided with their school's individual policy via Gamma or the school's messaging system, and also that school cell phone policies are posted on school websites. I want to make sure that early all parents have access to their school-specific policy and understand how cell phones are being stored for the school day and all the other different variations. Another point of emphasis, like Katie said, and this was something that obviously is best practice but has been emphasized in the district, is to make sure that parents do have a very clear phone number that they can call in case they have an emergency, they need to reach their child, and that is listed very clearly on the policy. The other system-wide priority around physical and emotional safety for students is around aligning behavioral and SEL interventions within the MTSS framework. In District 20, that's going to mean specifically the implementation of school culture plans that our middle schools worked with my district office last year in developing. And this year, elementary schools will be working with my office to develop, and specifically to combat bullying. We have a very specific focus around how this work will be targeted towards reducing bullying. And what parents can expect this year is we will be progress monitoring this goal around reducing and combating bullying by surveying students at least twice this year, specifically on questions that talk to how bullying perceptions on the students' part are coming across in the school. Something else that parents can expect, we will be surveying students in grades 4 and up. We will not be surveying students in grades 3 and below. Another thing that parents can expect around the safety piece this year is in the fall, a safety town hall. All schools are required to hold an annual safety town hall to discuss the school safety plans, school priorities around safety, and to engage parents in a dialogue around how those things work. I have, with the change in the cell phone policies, as well as our focus on bullying, I've asked all of our schools to hold that town hall in the fall. And make sure that the date of that town hall is very clear so that all parents have the opportunity to attend the town hall and be able to hear the school's plans around obviously the cell phone policy, which has been widely communicated, but we want to make sure everyone is aware, and also plans to combat bullying. Priority 3 around high quality academic experience. Our 2 priorities in here, in addition to our work around continuing to improve mathematics, is around the quality of instruction for English language learners and for ensuring that students with disabilities are fully served. We're really making sure that these 2 very important and large targeted subgroups in our district, that all of the not just the provision of their services and the compliance in the law to making sure that they are receiving what they're entitled to, but also the quality of that instruction and the quality of those services is high. So that is a priority in this district this year, and our goals are aligned to those. Priority 4, this involves a continuation of our work within Save for College. This year we will now have up to 4th graders, and so kindergarten through 4th grade, we will have students who have 529 savings accounts begun on their behalf, and we will continue to engage parents and now students more and more around financial literacy and understanding how the 529 account and financial literacy can support a pathway to college and career readiness. And then the other component of this will be the continuation of accelerated programming in the district. So in addition to middle school screen programs, the superintendent program, algebra honors program, and the support of all school-based enrichment programs across K to 8, we have also begun to establish the pilot for geometry regions to happen in the district. We are piloting geometry regions in 3 schools, and so that will be part of added to this this component of our work beginning this year. And then finally, priority 5 is around ensuring that the district is more inclusive and responsive to parents and families. We've identified 3 system-wide priorities aligned to our goals in this area. First, around effective engagement in the established structures and making sure that parents are aware and engaged in leadership opportunities, Parents Association, school leadership teams, CECs, Title I parent advisory councils. We're also making sure that parents are aware and have access to resources to understand how they can support their children's at home. The work that we're doing in priority 1 around making sure that parents are provided with information on how their students are doing aligned to screener data, as well as equipped with information on how they can help their kids at home, is kind of folded into this priority and how we're tracking and monitoring the work that we're doing at the district, and also how schools are supporting their families at home. And then finally, ensuring that language access continues to be improved at the district level as well as the school level through translation, the expansion, and the emphasis on translation. For example, my expectation that schools switch to the Gamma platform to provide written communication represents a support of language access. Gamma messages are translated into preferred home languages that are entered into ATS. So that's one way to support that. But we're also supporting families and communities where we have new languages growing where they weren't necessarily large points of emphasis, and making sure that schools are aware, they understand the urgency, and are shifting and revising their organization for translation when they hold meetings to make sure that more families are involved. So this is definitely a point of emphasis in the district this year. I just want to announce a few new specialized programs in the district. We have established to support, bilingual programming has always been a priority under my superintendency. This year we have added an additional dual language program in Arabic. This is our 2nd Arabic dual language program at PS 413. We've also added 3 new autism or ASD programs. ASD programming has also been a huge priority in the district, and we're always looking for ways to make sure that we're connecting students to accessing programs to meet their needs. So we have added a new AIMS K-2 autism program at PS 503, and we have added a new Horizon K-5 program at PS 506. And we have also provided a new middle school Horizon Autism program at Ditmas Middle School. So we're very happy that we are able to provide a pathway for our students who are in Horizon programs in the district currently to be able to go on to middle school in a program that provides them with continuity. And then finally, we do have 3 new DYCD after-school programs that were launched in the district. We're grateful to the city and to DYCD for launching these new programs. So at PS 176, there's a new after-school program with 120 additional seats through NIA. At PS 160, there's a new program with 120 seats through the Chinese American Planning Council. And at PS 204 with 120 new seats through the Federation of Italian American Organizations. That's the end of my report.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. Any members have any questions for the superintendent?
Yes, I do.
Stephen?
You mentioned the school safety plan, and back in July, I responded to an email, and it spoke about the district-wide safety plan. And in that, it said that there are trauma drills and lockdown drills. So it specifies that 8 of the trauma drills must be conducted by December 31st.
Trauma drills?
And 2 of the lockdown drills must be conducted by March.
You say trauma drills?
Correct. That was the wording in what I was reading. It was a DOE information that I was reading. So these aren't my words.
Okay.
So the question like I put to them is, are any of these drills done during the summer sessions? Like, there's no requirement in that policy. We do have summarizing programs, and as you well know, we have many of our District 75 children still attending schools. In addition to that,
So I just want to answer that first question.
We have the CBOs.
I just want to answer the question.
Sure.
That's not true. During summer rising, all schools are required to have a safety plan. There is a summer safety plan, and schools are required to hold general response protocol drills, safety drills, to make so that and
During that summer period.
that's correct. And the CBOs are required to and accustomed to collaborating with the school to ensure continuity so that they're aware of what those protocols are. And they're involved in the running of those drills.
So it might be helpful if they include that as a parent or anybody reading these plans, because it wasn't stated. And I really appreciate your explanation that is something that's being done. But it doesn't mandate it. Like 8 of the drills it specifically says it's supposed to be done by December 31st.
That's for so the safety plan that you're referring to refers to the general school year. That's not referring that. So during the general school year from September to June, that is true that there are those required drills, and there are dates by which those drills need to be held. It does not, the summer safety plan, the one that's held for summer sites during summer rising, I think that's what you're referring to. It is a separate safety plan, and it has its own specific requirements. But the short answer is they are required to have a safety plan, and they are and part of that safety plan is they are required to hold drills within the general response protocol. They hold less drills than during the regular year, but they are required to hold those drills.
But I couldn't, like in reading the district-wide safety plan, it doesn't explain that like you did. So perhaps that's an omission that I don't know who would be contacted to correct that. But this way, it's understood that yes, where schools are typically closed except for certain ones, but we still do pay attention to these things.
Absolutely.
Is there any other members that would like to ask any questions of the superintendent?
Oh, I just wanted to say a statement, because we're coming back all together. Just a reminder for the town hall meetings to let the parents know to be careful driving, because now everyone's back to school. The close calls that I see driving to school, because I'm very patient, but all the other parents that they should just put it out there, like common sense things, to be careful and be mindful of other people's children when you're driving, dropping off your kids and picking them up.
I appreciate that. And, the principal, I have worked personally with the Borough Safety Director and a few principals that have raised that similar concern in past years. And we have done worked to redirect traffic. We have dealt with cars that were parked illegally in front of schools. Like we do work directly with the schools, and the school leaders are very attuned to their systems, and we work very collaboratively with them. Getting back into the swing of things to ensure that things are smooth and they're safe around the school. But I appreciate you raising that because it's absolutely right. Everyone's back on the road.
Also, like now we have these bikes, mopeds that are added dangerous situation for my kid walking to school.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So I think we should put that in for those town hall meetings for the school because just a reminder. Because some parents, they just driving very dangerous.
No, thanks for that.
And then we also need to tell parents that they have to support what we do with taking away the phone, that they should be taking away the phone off school time hours also. Because, like we're implementing the no cell phone in schools, but after school, the parents should be doing that also. So I'm just saying.
It's a parent choice. The law states that that they need to be stored bell to bell, and we're adhering to the law.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just mindful and reminders of parents that these things won't work unless we support these programs.
But I do appreciate the dialogue as a superintendent, and I know that the principals and teachers, everyone appreciates the dialogue around the why behind it and looking at why it's important to do it. Really, it's very helpful. And I know I speak for all the schools in saying that it helps build the momentum and get us past the just the movement of getting the phone away and getting to the learning. So it's much appreciated.
Thank you.
Stephen.
What I've noticed starting to work is a lot of parents bringing their children to school on these e-bikes. And I don't know, like, the school, if they could put something out to have these children with helmets, bicycle helmets.
Absolutely. I think
because that's something where, it's very easy to get knocked down, whether you're on the street or the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't have helmets on, the kids, and they'll have two, sometimes three children and the adults. And that's something that can be very problematic. But just from a safety aspect, whatever the schools can do, to just put this out as a reminder, whether it's an e-bike, a bicycle, a scooter, to have these kids with a helmet on. Because head injuries is something that, with the helmet on, hopefully it can be prevented.
I totally agree. I agree with you both. It's a great suggestion.
Kevin?
Yep. I just have a little suggestion. I think we all heard about Charlie Kirk. What happened to him in Utah just today or yesterday? So I was wondering if we can be silent for him.
I don't know if that's a question for me.
No, that's
That's
not
a question for you.
It's for all the members.
Let me see the paper.
No, I don't think that's appropriate.
All right, we're gonna move forward. Now it's time for our second public speaking session. As said before, if you would like to speak, you can sign up on the Google form on our website, and the link has been shared in the chat. If you are in person, you can sign up using a sign-in sheet. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. May Jennifer Francis please come up? Jennifer Francis, if you could unmute yourself. Is Jennifer Francis online? Okay, we're gonna move past this.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. The last item on the calendar meeting agenda is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. Kevin, can you please share the minutes on the screen? They were also sent to all members. Are there any changes to the minutes? There is? No changes? There's no changes. The minutes are approved without a vote. Is there a motion to approve the? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes are approved. When's the next calendar meeting? November 8th?
October 8th.
October 8th?
That's the second Wednesday.
The meeting is adjourned. Our next calendar meeting is October 8th, the second Wednesday of the month. Thank you for everyone for attending. Thank you to interpreters. You are dismissed. Oh, we have the business meeting. Everybody want a break?